Apparently, they didn't think it could last. Was there any hesitation on Jesse's part when he first saw you?
Yes, there was. It took him about 5-10 minutes, then he kind of clicked in who I was, and good to see the reaction.
Now, remind our viewers now, did you ever actually speak with Jesse on the phone?
No.
He's not very articulate. Was that the problem?
No, the Arabs would have looked at me kind of funny.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark, and it's awfully good to have you home.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Okay. Dave and Ron, back to you under your covered tent. We'll get a little damper here, I think, but we're having a lot of fun.
We get the breaks, don't we?
Oh, I tell you. We're going to take a look at the Athabascan families there in a moment, but we want very much to thank.
Okay, we have some tape here now. This is taken by crew members of the Athabascan when they shared with us when we were visiting with them. Now, Greg, you take a look at your monitor here. This is the helicopter as it was flying up the coast of Kuwait, and you can see the damage done, and there's the dug-in tank. And of course, this was one of the problems as far as the Iraqis were concerned. This is a fake silkworm missile site that they thought they would trick everybody with. Obviously, that one didn't particularly work. Now we're coming in along to the oil fires, and you can see the dense smoke. And Greg, you went through these fires too on your way home, did you not?
I was not actually up in that area. However, the smoke from the fires when we were down passing through Bahrain had completely blotted out the sun, and the temperatures had dropped about 15 to 20 degrees. That smoke from the satellite stretches some 2,000 miles all the way out into the Gulf of Oman.
This is the Kuwait City airport. This is when the helicopter from the Athabascan was flying the ambassador up. This is the British Airways jumbo jet that was blowing up. You can see the damage. Now, this is the USS Princeton. This was the ship that was hit by mines, and the Athabascan was sent north to meet that ocean-going tug, and that latched on to the Princeton, and then they had to go back to Bahrain, and there they are in tow at 6 knots. It took 33 hours altogether. Now, the Athabascan was fitted with new missiles, and then once they were fitted, they had to test them out, so they got in the CF-18s, and this is home video of the CF-18s acting on the same profile as the Nexus missile, low, fast across the ship. We were mentioning how important mail was to the crews, and this is some home video from the Athabascan of some of the Christmas cards that were sent to members of the ship. Most of the mail, by the way, from school children. The crew just loved it. This is Warrant Officer Hamlin being lowered. He was Santa Claus on Christmas. And we end up, this was Christmas Eve. This was a Christmas Eve sing-along on the Athabascan.
It was the mail that we received was some 8,000 letters a week from all across Canada, from school children and any sailor, and it was a phenomenal amount, all of which we answered, by the way.
Is that right?
That's right.
I want to mention something to the viewers at home. As a non-profit community service, a 2-hour video containing excerpts from ATV-ASN's coverage of the ship's departure, its service in the Gulf, and their homecoming here today is being offered to our viewers. We can only offer it to you in VHS only. We apologize for that, but it's VHS only. The cost is $18. Shipping and taxes are included, and this is being produced at cost. It's a non-profit community service. Cost is $18. Allow 6 weeks for delivery. Make your check payable, check or money order payable to ATV-ASN Gulf Video, Post Office Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4. That's ATV-ASN Gulf Video, Post Office Box 1653, Halifax, B3J2Z4. The cost is $18. It's VHS only. And we remind you it's a non-profit community service. And, of course, we'll be telling you more about that on both networks as well, and during spots on our television coverage as well. But here it is. It's most of the families, I would imagine, by now have been reunited. I imagine the Protector families are still streaming up the ship here, as we can see, and more salutes being fired off by some of the sailboats in the harbor.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at my schedule here, trying to figure out where is this coming from.
There's a guy on a sailboat down here.
Oh, is that where it is?
Yeah.
All right, so that's part of it. Greg, again, returning to the duty, and as you see these family reunions, everybody has a different memory. Now, you were talking about the Suez Canal. Let me move on now to your actual duty. And due to the fact that you served on the Athabascan, you also served on the Midway. At that point now, what is one of the most outstanding moments that you're going to remember about all of this?
Are you referring to the time on the Midway?
Yeah, well, either one, either the Athabascan or whatever, but in the Gulf.
I think the Athabascan, my proudest moment on the Athabascan was certainly we had arrived, we'd gone into Bahrain after being at sea for a long time. We supplied and stored and went on station. Within about 20 minutes, we'd done our first hailing, and within 6 hours, we were called upon to do our first boarding. And I think the Canadian Navy grew up at that point. And it was night, the weather was rough, it was bad conditions, and the guys went out and did their job. And from that point on, nothing was too tough. We could do it all. And that was the time we came over. On the Midway, there was a couple of them. One is that we knew that the war was going to start, but we didn't know the exact hour. They didn't tell us exactly. And I can remember sitting down in my cabin and basically just some last thoughts, and we went through. The war did start, and
okay, Greg, sorry about that. You can see right there. There's the address, folks, for that the Gulf Video, the ATVASN Gulf Video, Post Office Box 1653, Halifax, B3J2Z4.
Operation Persian Gulf: The Return has been brought to you commercial-free by IGA, hometown proud in the Maritimes, and by your local McDonald's franchise. Always good food, always good value.
Sorry about that, Greg. I had to interrupt you there to let that little message across there. Please carry on.
Go ahead.
Just to finish up, was very shortly thereafter, within 12 hours, we had our first attack where the Iraqi planes came down the coast at us, and we went to action stations. And in my lifetime, that was the first real time I'd been under threat and on something that big and movable, and ended up standing in the war room with the rest of the battle force staff watching the air battle on the big screen. And never forget that. Never forget that.
Dave, I got to think, while we're welcoming back the 950 Canadian sailors and pilots and soldiers who are aboard Operation Friction, there were so many Canadians involved in that operation there. All the CF-18 pilots, the field hospital staff. There's a ship's crew over there right now. The Huron is over there right now and is going to be doing some enforcement duties. And of course, at a time like this, you have to consider everybody in the force is doing peacekeeping duties around the world, in the Golan Heights and everywhere. And it's indicative of a pride in the Canadian forces and a pride in what we can do as peacekeepers and helping out in NATO and in multinational efforts like this.
Also, too, Greg, in a moment or so that we have left in our broadcast, I think that this whole operation has also proven, particularly when you take into consideration the operation of the equipment that they were dealing with, is a tribute to the training received by Canadian military.
I think absolutely. It appears that what we've been doing for the last, as I told Marilyn when I left, I've been at school for 17 years and now got to practice the trade. And the training that I've had, and certainly the other people, with the exception of the little bit that we did on the way over with the new equipment, certainly was in the right direction, and we were ready for the mission.
Dave, you were here for the send-off. Yeah. You're there with the ships. What's your observation of today?
Just that. I think it was definitely a duty done with honor. It was done by professionals with dedication, and it was a duty that they should be proud of, and I'm sure they are. And I think that Canadians should be proud. Forgetting about any debate as to whether it should have been or shouldn't have been, the fact was that the assignment was given, the assignment was undertaken, the assignment was accomplished, and accomplished with honor. Okay.
It's incredible because it was an apprehension, there was a bit of fear going out, but now there's certainly joy that everybo's home and everybody's home safe.
That's right. Well, that's it from here. The ships are home. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. It's
when the whole world talks together.
There is a language we